Ramble for 130 pages, no editor, just cut and print. Give me money!
Buy my book! Buy my book!
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Go ahead and look it up. That's pretty good. We probably can't do that every day, but I really like bursting into songs sometimes. And we're going to need to keep that joy in our heart because we're back into the Onision, This Is Why I Hate You book. It feels unfair to call it a book. There are people who have written actual books, and this is not that. But we'll get into it today and make it do what it do. Fingers crossed that it will be sufficiently terrible and also somehow bearable. Let's see how it goes. Chapter 2, A Need to Breed. Yeah, that does happen to men when they hit like their 30s and stuff. Little voice in the back of your head, you just can't shut it up. It happened to me, it'll happen to you, and even you. It's been weeks since I last wrote in this journal. You could assume this was due to laziness, but I rarely suffer from that degenerative disease. I will grant you that. Onision makes a lot of content. Not much of it is very good at all, but he does make it, so hey, I understand some of the motivations there. Here's the thing. I don't know what being unmotivated even feels like. I don't have the ability to sit around and loathe the idea of doing anything outside of wasting my life being lethargic. Wow, that must be really nice for you. There are days that I will sit in front of the computer for like 3 hours just trying to amp myself up enough to start the video. Although I think I am fortunate that I am afforded that luxury. If something in my life needs to be done, I do it. I won't complain. I won't self-pity. I'll do what is necessary. This journal has not been a priority to me until now. Yeah, me either, really. We could have read this book years ago, but all the pieces needed to fall into place. You see, we had to do My Immortal, we had to do the Roger Manifesto, and now this entire thing is like a combination of those two things.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
My mother, Sarah Gale, taught me from day one to never feel sorry for myself, to never give up on what I believe in, and to never miss a positive opportunity when it's sitting right in front of me.
Yes, a positive opportunity, like someone saying, hey, let me edit your book, and him going,
no, I write from the heart. It's perfect as it is.
I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, mother.
You're an insane person, you know that.
She taught me a lot of things before she died. I could not be more grateful for her. The fact that she's dead in place of my father is a reality that drives me insane every time I'm reminded of it.
Yeah, we don't get to make those choices. How did she die? It's got to be something huge and dramatic. Car accident, extended disease. It couldn't be like, yeah, I don't know. There was a weak wall in her brain. She had an aneurysm in her sleep. The end.
It took him all of 3 weeks to get a girlfriend after she died.
Yeah, that sounds like Dad wasn't very invested.
He was in the hospital with her every day, talking about how much he loved her. Then she died, and what seemed like only a few blinks later, he literally got with a nurse who was working at the same goddamn hospital my mom drew her last breath in.
It's just a rebound, son. It's going to be okay. I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong. People deal with grief in different ways, you know? He probably was going through the separation process even while she was alive because big dramatic extended disease, like I predicted. Whatever.
Her seduction of my freshly widowed father is one of the many reasons I hate that bleach blonde, double-chinned freak.
Ooh, what happened to your face?
You could say she just felt sympathetic toward my father for just having lost his wife. You might believe she wanted him to feel better, but you would be wrong. Wrong!
Says you. What's your theory on why they're actually dating? Just to spite you?
If she really cared about doing what was right, she should have given him time. Instead, she took advantage of a desperate man in a tragic situation.
I don't know what to tell you. It skeeves me out a little bit, but I'm in no position to tell Daddy how to live his life, and neither are you, author. 17 years old, you're gonna be out of the house soon. How about you get your own stuff figured out, huh?
Seeing this woman's limp legs dangling from the side of a dumpster with garbage stains smeared down her calves would disturb me less than seeing her kiss my father. She's an invader. She's the destroyer of what little peace I had left in my own home.
Yeah, hatred for the stepmother seems to be kind of compulsory in these things, doesn't it? I can't call her Soup Maya. I don't know her actual name. Nor does it really matter. Peace I had left in my own home. Like I said, it's not your house. It's your dad's house. He gets to do whatever the hell he wants in his own house. Can you imagine some teenage little pissant being like, you can't date that girl? I'm pretty sure I could do whatever I want. I could have a parade of prostitutes in here if I want.
All right, come on, ladies, right this way.
This is my grieving process. Coke and hookers. Jerry probably wouldn't do that. Jerry seems like a pretty stand-up guy, honestly. Anyway.
Jerry's already talking about her moving in soon, which means I will become even more forgotten in this household than I already am.
Yeah, grab your nuts, move out, become a ghost for real. But you won't. You talk a big game, but you're a little baby boy deep down.
Literally, sports are of greater importance to Jerry than me. You got that right. Another fat American white guy who watches sports. They're a dime a million. My father's a wart on the backside of the human species.
I'm pretty sure it's not just white people that are into sports, but okay. I'm not a big fan of sports ball myself, but I don't know. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If it gives you a sense of purpose, that's fine. I find it really fascinating how author thinks that he's better for not participating in the things he doesn't participate in, and also thinks he's even more better by participating in the things that he does participate in. I would argue that author is a wart on the backside of the human species. Even worse than a wart, he's a cyst, because he's just leaking bullshit everywhere. I'm sorry for that image.
Speaking of sports, I fantasized about a massive weapon going off in the middle of a major sporting event.
Ooh, yeah, classy. Victimize thousands because I don't like sports ball.
Sure, it would be so incredibly sad. The horror. I know. Meanwhile, from a logical standpoint, the world wouldn't really suffer from losing a condensed population of wasted and aimless lives, aka the millions of sports fans infesting this planet.
Well, that is a really hot take. Do you think that they just literally sit in the stadium all day until the next sports ball game happens? Again, I'd argue that they live a more fulfilling and moral life than a 30-something who's hanging out with a bunch of preteens. Allegedly. Talk about a wasted and aimless life indeed.
Those tiny insects gathered together, watching one half-brain-dead man throw a ball to another brain-damaged man just so he can reach a made-up and meaningless goal.
Weren't we just talking about how all goals are made up and meaningless? I'm pretty sure that was just the last chapter, right? Seriously, please tell me what point you are trying to make. Make it quickly. We don't need to do this for 130 pages, do we? I guess we do.
For what purpose do people professionally play sports?
Oh, God. For what purpose do people upload YouTube videos or code crappy websites, Onision?
So they can collect millions of dollars yearly until their knees give out or their head gets cracked open?
Yeah, something like that.
Then what? The majority of professional football players go bankrupt after they retire.
Do you care to cite your sources on that?
What was it all worth? Would you not trade your memories for a body that isn't broken? It's just a game of numbers. There's no real depth, and it's so simple.
Just like making YouTube videos, just like stacking your bank account and thinking that that leads to a meaningful life. Like, if you're going to take a stand, even one this terribly bad, at least be consistent with it, please.
The mere lack in intelligence or creativity is why so many generic and useless minds gravitate towards it.
Oh, is that why? Because it's simple? I think it's because it's exciting.
Can your team of guys beat the other team of guys? I don't know. Let's sit around for 2 hours and find out.
It ain't for me, but I can see the appeal. Basically just on principle. Everything you're arguing against, I'm going to argue for.
Are you tired of getting confused by the complex reality of human existence? Here, monkey, watch sports. Then you won't have to think anymore. And while you're at it, drink a beer. That'll dumb down your potential to do anything worthwhile with your time.
How far up your own ass do you have to be, exactly, to look down on people for leisure activities?
He's like, I've never relaxed even for 1 second in my life.
It's like, well, maybe you should. Maybe that's the whole problem.
But some madman setting of a weapon in a stadium?
Of. You mean off, right?
What does one insect killing a bunch of other insects really accomplish? Nothing. There will always be more bugs to fill the gap, to continue the endless cycle of infestation and consumption of all the world's natural resources.
Oh yes, if only we stopped playing football, we conserved the world's natural resources of pigskin, I guess. Congratulations, you got it all figured out. What a brilliant mind.
You didn't have to cut me off. I can hate the people in this world and take satisfaction in the thought of them ending, but I remain unwilling to do anything about their lives, as there's simply no point. Our lives are all pointless.
Yeah, then why not let them enjoy the pointless thing? Like, is it just because they're happy that's what makes you angry? And it's a pretty good cop-out excuse anyways. He's like, I totally would do these horrible things, but there's no point anyways. Nothing could possibly be as pointless as this book.
To end a life is no easy task. You can pull the trigger, and in the physical sense, that's one of the simplest things you can do. But I'm not a sociopath. I'm not so stupid I can't see what a coward I am. I struggle with my will to live as is. Spilling blood on my hands would only give me another reason to duct tape a plastic bag around my head and walk off the ledge of a building.
At least he admits it, I guess. One of the most cowardly people in existence. Here's a revelation that might blow your mind. We are all culpable. We all have blood on our hands. Do you pay your taxes? You've got blood on your hands. Do you wear clothes or use products made in some third world country? Blood on your hands. It's just sort of the way the world's gone. But oh no, we dare not look at those things too closely. Let's concentrate on sports ball.
My life is so pointless. It makes me sick. Living in general is pointless, but dying serves no purpose either. So what do? Of course I follow the pack and wait till the clock stops ticking.
The clock never stops. It stops ticking for you. And that's going to happen whether you consider your life pointless or whether you're fulfilled with the pointless things that you do. It doesn't really matter. So why not choose fulfillment? I guess because it's easier to be miserable. Being miserable doesn't require you to actually do anything except sit there and complain about sports ball.
None of this is why I'm updating my journal. Ironically, despite my murderous imagination, I've managed to find myself in a completely contradictory position.
Yes, how do I open up talking about the miracle of life? With a rambling monologue about death. It's just really weird. You can tell that none of this was planned out. There was no second draft. It was like ramble for 130 pages, no editor, just cut and print. Give me money!
Buy my book! Buy my book! The truth is, I recently started dating a girl at ski named Ashley. I know what you might be thinking. Arthur, you've done nothing but hate on the entire human species up to this point. Why would you date one of them? The honest answer is, she clearly likes me, and I'm available.
Oh, that's all it takes, huh? Okay, good. Well, at least we're holding steady to our own morals, right? Like, hey, bro, why'd you bang that girl? I don't know. I was there and she was there. What do you want?
Ashley's been in my third period class for some time now. There's a reason she laughed at every other thing I said in class.
Probably because you're an idiot. It makes me laugh too, just not in the way he thinks.
It's more than evident she likes me because I rarely talk. And when I do, what I'm saying isn't funny. But yet she still finds amusement in every other sentence and regularly smiles at me.
Yeah, she probably thinks you're one of the slow kids. She's just like, I don't know, be nice to him, okay? He's had it hard enough. And if you ask him how hard it's been, oh Lord, will he tell you. For many hundreds of pages, he will tell you. Even if he's the one directly in the wrong, he will find the angle where he is the victim and has it the hardest.
Ashley's a good-looking girl. She's pale-skinned, short, brunette. I really like her smile, too. If that wasn't enough, my body, like most every other male body on the planet, demands I be physical with someone. So why not her?
Bro, just shoot it into a sock. Leave this woman alone. Yeah, needs, etc. But she doesn't know what she's getting herself into. You are clearly not capable of being emotionally nurturing in any way, author.
This is the human condition. We build illusions around our lives, love, friendship, and family. We think we take part in these aspects of life because we want to, as if any of it's truly a product of authentic free will.
Are you making the argument that free will doesn't exist, that we actually just mostly run on hormones and pheromones and that's it? Because I don't think that's true. You can make the decision to do anything you want. Don't want to build a friendship and relationship with Ashley? Then don't. You could say no. And honestly, I think that you should.
If I were a robot that had the ability to learn and reflect on my existence, I might have a chance at free will.
Yeah, same story if you were a human that had the ability to learn and reflect on your existence, but clearly that's not the case.
Without desires or bodily influences, me choosing to be with someone despite there being no clear advantage to my programming, operations, or physical body, I could argue the connection with them was legitimate.
Sounds like a load of coke, bro.
Now humans, we don't choose to be lonely or to have these desires. So how can we pretend free will was ever an option?
Because you can walk away. Objectively, it is an option. Oh my god, you're so dumb.
Free will is the ability to act on one's own discretion. Discretion is the ability to decide what should and should not be done. How can you make your own decisions when really your body is most always doing that for you?
You know what? You can hold your breath. You can hold your breath right now. One of the most autonomous functions, and you can decide to stop it at any point. He literally is arguing that we just mostly act on instinct. It's ludicrous. Does it have an effect? Some influence? Yes, of course. But free will is always there, just in the background.
If I had free will, then I could choose to be gay.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's alright, like...
I could choose to be happy when I looked in the mirror. I could choose to enjoy life to its fullest, but I can't.
You're the one who has decided that you can't. You've decided to stop pursuing anything meaningful because, I just can't. It's the biggest cop-out in the world.
I have a war going on in my mind. Likely because I'm 17 and am no doubt rapidly developing mentally.
Yeah, citation needed all that too, man. I'm just not seeing the signs of the development mentally.
Teenagers like me are key examples of these influences destroying our free will. They leave us in shackles.
Hormones are a hell of a thing, but again, Onision's writing this as a 30-something man. He has spent 2 decades holding on to being a teenager, and it's really sad. At what point will you pull it together, Gregory?
Most of us are too stupid to know they're there.
The shackles.
I would admire their bliss if it weren't paired with their undeniable mental inferiority.
I think it was in the Funky P video that I said I would choose being happy and dumb over brilliant and miserable. Unfortunately, some people are dumb and miserable. So dumb that they don't even realize that they're dumb. The Dunning-Kruger effect in action. Trace amounts of science.
Ashley is a product of my imprisonment. I literally have millions of little potential human lives screaming within me to impregnate her as soon as humanly possible.
Ugh, do not do it. Do not do it. Would it be okay to push Ashley down the stairs in order to keep the Antichrist from being born? It's all hypothetical, I'm just asking.
If we were to reproduce, I would no doubt love the children she produced. This is, of course, because if I didn't love them, they would be less likely to effectively survive.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought it might be because they carry your DNA and you see a part of yourself in them. Parts of yourself that have long been lost to time. That's the reason I love hanging out with my kids. But Onision's over here like,
yeah, it's just brain chemicals. You can ignore them, but free will doesn't exist, so I guess you can't ignore them. Actually, I don't know what the point I was making was.
I know, you had no point. The point was, I want to write a book. And he sat down and surely he wrote. But again, I think calling it a book is really generous.
If our species completely lost love for children, our species itself would begin to die off. We would leave our children in the streets to die. We wouldn't feed them, or at times, even risk our safety for them, because we weren't pre-programmed to care.
You realize some people aren't pre-programmed to care, right? Some people choose not to have children at all. But go ahead, tell me some more about how free will's not a real thing.
Free will?
Perfect.
It's a joke so ridiculously personal, you can't even laugh.
Oh, trust me, I can. And I do.
Almost all of us do is pretend we never got slammed with the reality of our true condition, so we can continue believing the lie that is freedom.
I will admit that in some capacity we are biologically inclined to take care of our children, but we still have free will. That's why babies end up in the dumpster and such. If what you said is true, if free will didn't actually exist, then you would be shackled to that child for the rest of your life, no matter what. Literally shackled. But you've experienced so much freedom that you don't even know what it means anymore.
Anywho, you reading this right now will think about your little life in response to this information. You may even admit how insignificant it is, but what will you do then? Nothing.
I mean, same thing I've always done. You think you're delivering me revelations? I'm not affected by this at all.
You'll barely remember these words in a week, maybe even as soon as 12 hours from now.
Yeah, basically, as soon as I turn the mic off, that's it. It's out of sight, out of mind.
We do this so we can continue existing without disrupting seemingly endless years' worth of evolution.
I'm not trying to protect myself from the bleak reality of existence. I'm trying to protect myself from the stupid. And it's everywhere.
You don't think there was a fail-safe put in your brain to deal with the possibility that you might actually realize one day that it's all for nothing?
As I've said, it's not all for nothing. It has the meaning that you ascribe to it. Then again, if I lived a similar life to author, I would have a hard time ascribing any meaning to it as well.
We're just animals. That's a fact. We're holding out in hopes that someday we'll evolve into something that might actually offer value to the universe.
Oh, is that what it's all about? Offering value to the cold, bleak darkness of space. How about focus on yourself for a little while? How about offer value to the people around you? Is that so very hard?
Aside from being self-aware as to how trivial and generic my increasing feelings for Ashley are, I've already begun to gratify myself to her.
Ugh, tell me no more. You gonna tell me all about humping the mattress, author? Make us a foul soup? I'm good. I'd rather stab myself in the eyes with an ice pick.
Jesus Christ!
I regularly imagine unleashing inside her, having kids with her, and I actually feel authentic admiration for such an outcome.
Well, I'm glad you feel admiration. I feel terror. Especially for those children.
Sometimes I think about her begging me to impregnate her, and the mere notion ignites arousal in both my body and mind.
Like, you think this is supposed to be a shocking revelation too, but literally, this is how human existence is carried on for as long as it has, right? And despite the fact that you think about these things, you have the free will of whether or not to actually do them. Which sort of negates the whole point that you were making. Can we admit that to each other? He won't admit it. He's so far up his own ass.
I'm such a puppet of biological programming, and so are all of you.
Well, to some extent, but I think I have a lot more control of my baser instincts than does Onion Boy.
Ashley's voice is the one I could easily enjoy listening to for some time. Her facial proportions are beyond sufficient, and she's generally healthy, likely more so than me.
Her facial proportions are beyond sufficient. I think I made a joke about phrenology in the last episode, but no, literally, that is what we're doing right now.
Her occipital lobe is ideal. What I like most about Ashley is that she has very few beliefs, just like I do.
Yeah, just a couple of edgelords smushing their genitals together, making the world a worse place. Beliefs are important. Again, you need to decide what's okay for yourself and what's not. But I know why you don't have that many beliefs, because having conviction is hard. Having conviction means committing to something, and clearly you're not ready for any of that.
You may ask yourself as to how I could say I don't have many beliefs, when it's pretty clear I've been expressing a number of opinions since the beginning of this journal. The blunt truth is, most everything I say, the activities in my life and my mentality, are all in some way based significantly on facts.
Yeah, right, dude. You haven't cited one source. You're just talking out the side of your neck. It's always the most unhinged and emotional people that are like,
this is all based on fact.
Well, facts look different depending on which angle you view them from. Do you realize that? He's awful.
Facts are the enemy of beliefs. The more you base your beliefs on fact, the fewer traits they share with opinions. The more I learn, the more what I believe turns into what I know.
Yes, list of things that I know. Being vegetarian makes you fat. Sports ball is bad. The only god that should be worshipped is me and my fragile little mind. You have no points with anything you've said.
Now, before I end this chapter, I'd like to mention something I went through late last week with Ashley. There's this guy, John. He hangs out with the jocks at our school. I'm fairly certain I'm gonna beat the living hell out of him due to what Ashley recently told me about him.
I don't think you're gonna do any of that. I think you're gonna cry and seethe and be mad inside of your journal, and it's going to have no real-life consequences because you're a self-admitted coward. You remember that? I remember that.
According to her, during ski, she was walking to her next class, and John put his hands on her hips to stop so they could talk.
To stop her so they could talk.
He didn't have anything much to say to her, so it was obvious what he was doing was purely inspired by perverted intentions.
Yes, not like you, author. You have the purest of intentions.
It's just my biological programming that makes me so pure.
Yeah, okay.
He's a teenage boy, going through a lot of physical changes, but that's no excuse to put your hands on a woman.
Didn't you just spend like 3 paragraphs describing her as your own personal cum dump? Rules for thee and not for me.
Now, I realize how primitive it is for me to mark my territory, so to speak.
Again, just referring to her like an end table.
It's also primitive to try and solve your problems with physical facts. But that's not why I'm going on about this.
Again, if you have a point, please make it. Any point at all. Just something consistent we could grab onto.
Could you do that for me?
Many human beings are saturated with violent and perverse thoughts. Men especially.
I think it's cute you assume that it's men especially, because that's your only frame of reference. I truly don't know if women have as many violent thoughts as men do, but I know the perverse thoughts that they have. Yeah, a lot of them are even worse. I have had women tell me some really fucked up stuff. Anyway.
On average, the male gender regularly desires copulation with other human beings. These human beings are often females who appear to be capable of bearing children.
You're saying so much without saying anything at all. We're just going in a giant circle. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. Why did you bother writing this? Why did I bother reading this?
John putting his hands on my girlfriend was about more than the single physical act. He took his common desires and thrust them upon someone without an invitation. Essentially, he assaulted her. Ashley didn't ask for that.
I think we're stretching the definition there, but okay.
When I have violent or perverted thoughts, I express them in this journal. I don't go out and grope people. There's no rational justification for it.
Yeah, you see, Onion author here likes to groom people until they're perfectly ready to be groped. And apparently that's okay. It's not. It's disgusting. It's degenerate. Perhaps it's even worse than what John did. But those are scary thoughts to consider, aren't they?
John made one of the biggest mistakes he'll likely ever make. He broke the wall of civility and turned his hormone-driven thoughts into action. I feel I should show him what it's like when people don't keep their physical desires to themselves.
Then do it. Stop crying about it and step up. He's not going to. Keep crying, keep coping. These are the real solutions. I'll write it in my journal.
My girlfriend was clearly not interested in being touched, but in violating her rights, he asked everyone who cares about Ashley to violate his. Thanks for giving me an excuse, John.
Yeah, sure thing, little buddy.
I can't wait to see a scrawny goth kid try and fight a football player. Oh, but I forgot. This is in the journal. It's probably all part of the fantasy. None of these things ever happened. I guess we'll figure out the whole story in chapter 3. But honestly, I don't have the mental fortitude to get into chapter 3 today. So, that's gonna be it for now. I really gotta take this one slow, lest my brain melt out of my ears. But I am looking forward to hearing about Arthur getting his ass kicked by John next week. Join us again, won't you, friends? On the end card, I'm gonna link Incel Tears, which is basically all this entire thing has been. Click on through, I know you'll love it. And of course, please always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy. You definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. Go ahead and cut them open. It's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine.
Where is he